Okay, hello again. So, I've got my father's car back. This is a follow-up video to when I was testing these two products. There they are. These are the prototypes of the ceramic spray protection from Garage Therapy. So it's been 4 weeks now since I last applied these two products. I applied one to one half of the car, the other to the other half of the car. So let me bring this around here so you can see what I'm talking about. So, is it not that? No, it's the other way around. Right, so as you're looking at the screen here, this milky one was applied to this side of the car. This clear one was applied to that side of the car. Same on the bonnet. There was a section in the middle of the bonnet which was not touched as far as directly applied, but a little bit of buffing over did carry some of that product over. So what we need to do now is to have a look at the state of the car, and I'll be honest, it is looking pretty hellish. These are the joys of living in the northeast of Scotland. During the winter, the car is filthy. Let me turn my screen around here and bring you in. So there's the state of the bonnet. So it doesn't look so bad from there with that light, but then you come over here and you see that, yes, water spots. It was beading earlier today when it was raining, but filthy, 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 filthy. Absolutely horrid. So this was the milky side, is where this one was applied, and then over here, this is the other side. This was the clear side, what I called the looks like wee. You can see it's also filthy. So I'm going to grab the pressure washer and we can have a look at the state of the car, and we'll see how much dirt can be repelled from this paint with the ceramic coating on it. So we'll see what goes on. Let's try it out. I'm going to soak it first before going in with the pressure. Now I know that looks like the protection's gone, but remember it is covered in filth, so that protection may not come back yet until we clean it off. So, oh, look at these wheels. It's amazing the grime that this car picks up from the country roads here. Pretty awful. So I'm just going to let that soak in for a minute. I'm not using any snow foams or pre-washes or anything like that. I just want to wet it down, soak it, and then we'll blast off the dirt and see what we're left with. Alright, let's give that a few minutes. Let's have a look here. We can see that most excuse me, most of that dirt has been blasted off. It hasn't been washed, but the most of the dirt, the worst of the dirt, has been removed, and actually you can see beneath the car there it's all being washed away down there. So we've blasted off a lot of dirt. That foam is from an earlier shampoo from cleaning the other half's car this morning. So that's the side of the car there. Now I deliberately didn't do the back of the car to show how filthy it is. I didn't cover the back of the car at all with the coating. This side here, that's been done now, and as you can see again, most of the dirt has been removed, but it will need a contact wash. As you can see, there's still all this horrible staining there that needs to come off. Interestingly enough, there you go. This has only been rinsed, but remember I said that the center section had no coating on it, only the sides, and you can see that it's repelled most of that water and it's left the section in the middle. So the protection is still alive to a certain extent. So right now what I need to do is wash the car properly. So I'm going to get 2 buckets set up and I'm going to wash it with Garage Therapy's own One car shampoo and see how much of the coating comes back after all this dirt. See how much repellency is actually revived by removing the dirt off the car. It already feels super slick. I can't tell if it's the shampoo that's doing that or the coating, because I know the shampoo is super slick. Right, let's grab the pressure washer now and then see if any of that repellency comes back thanks to the washing. Alright, let's watch for it. And I did discuss with Maz afterwards, and he says that I may well have, I think that they had determined that I may well have still not put enough on during my initial testing. But to be fair to that, you know, it's always good to check how it behaves if you don't put enough on. Do you still get some decent repellency, or don't you? Now what I'm seeing here at the moment is we're starting to see a relatively even repellency. You can see that line happening at the top of the picture there. So it's coming down, it is repelling relatively even. The other side a little bit slower and a bit more patchy, not hugely. And in my initial results, when I looked at the 2 of these, it was my opinion to Maz that the side that looks like wee side, this left side here, was a little bit glossier, and I think he measured it to be ever so slightly glossier by a couple of gloss units. So there was more gloss coming from this side. This side was the easier to use side than this one, but I did think to myself, because this was harder to use, perhaps this is going to repel better. But what I'm seeing here though, straight away, is that this side has more repellency going on. It's leaving more of a dry section and it is drying off quicker. Obviously the center section here will have nothing on it at all. And that's fine, that's the way I had it as a control section, so we could see how it behaves against uncoated paint. So you can see it there, going fairly steady at the moment. That's good. We're going to come back to that. I'm going to go and wash the sides of the car now, and then we'll have a look at those as well. Alright, it's looking good so far. I'm also looking at the repellency on the wing here. It is starting to draw off quite nicely. So there is some sheeting going on there. Obviously sheeting on vertical panels is easier because gravity is helping it. So it's certainly pulling water off of there. I'll go around the other side of the car. I had to re-wet the bonnet because I was rinsing off the bonnet here anyway from the suds that come up from the wing. So I just re-wet that just to see how it's sheeting, how well it will sheet. So let's go around the other side of the car now. Alright, let's have a look here. So we can see there is some water repellency starting to come back there around the fuel filler cap. So that's interesting. Around by the door handle there. It's starting to come off the top of the door there. The same over here. There's more going on there around the door handle. Around underneath the wing mirror there. On the wing itself. Top half of that is nearly dry, so there's definitely some repellency coming back here, so that's very interesting. But this car is absolutely filthy. This is possibly why Maz and Rog have chosen me to test this, is because I live in an area which is very rural and we have country roads everywhere and really horrible weather, so that might just give you an idea. So you can see the bonnet there. That has definitely repelled a lot of water. There's spray and all sorts over there from rinsing, but there you go. And the wing there is looking good. You can see now, you can see that there is some repellency trying to break through there. You can see it's repelling in spots. So it's doing something, it's not doing loads. That's the worst hit section of the car. There is actually the lowest section of the car. But it's doing a not bad job actually. It's still going to an extent, but obviously it's either not doing enough or I didn't apply enough, and I'm very conscious of the fact that that's entirely possible. I maybe just went a bit too light with it. Very interesting though. So there we go. That is the state of play right now, is that the bonnet does still have repellency. So to be topped with something like their 2 quick detailer, that would look great. But it's not a super duper long term protection product for something that's going to get filthy all the time, you know. And this may well be too much of an ask for some products like this to last a long time in the winter when it's going to be as awful as this. So it was definitely easier to clean. The surface dirt came off nice and quickly. Yeah, there we go. So I'm back indoors now, out of the cold, thank goodness, and I just wanted to give some information on the products about how I felt they worked and how I felt they were for application and things. And I have to admit, I was quite surprised that they worked as well as they did, because living out here in the countryside in the very, very cold conditions, I wasn't expecting a lot out of them. Usually colder temperatures are not conducive to long-term protection application, especially when it comes to ceramic products. You do tend to find that some of them will list a minimum temperature requirement. Now I wasn't told of any minimum requirement here, but I do find it useful to be able to pass on my experiences and the results that I see onto the boys at Garage Therapy, because I experience colder weather up here, and also all the countryside driving, all the rural roads and all the agricultural traffic that hits these roads means that your car does not stay clean for any length of time. So I wasn't expecting a lot out of these products, and yet they held up well. And I'm glad that I have this kind of extreme of weather and of the road situations, that I can pass this on to the boys and give them a better idea. You know, that's the whole idea when you're testing prototypes, is you got to test it in multiple situations. So I'm really pleased that I could help them with that. As you saw, there was definite beading before the wash, so it was still protecting there, and that was a month after application, and it had not been washed in that whole time. And then after washing, you could definitely see that the water was still repelling, the sheeting was still happening, so there was still protection, just not the lovely super hydrophobic stuff that some of us are used to. But again, they were applied in very cold conditions, and I would say it was no more than 1 degree when I was applying the products, and so they actually held out really well, and against all of that road grime and everything, I think they actually did a really good job. They were still very easy to use, and I approached the application a little bit differently to something, say, a bit more amateur focused. For example, when I applied the Turtle Wax Hybrid Solutions ceramic spray coating, that was literally a case of spray some on the bonnet, wipe it over quickly and buff it off. And that's because that was a product which is more designed for the average Joe, whereas the Garage Therapy products, they are aimed more at the enthusiast or the professional market. So enthusiasts or professionals would take their time in application, and so that's why I applied these products differently to something that would be a very big brand, you know, available in multiple shops and so on. So the approach was different, but the application was still very easy, and I probably could have gone over it faster and still got decent results. I could have applied more and I might have seen slightly better protection there. I definitely saw a difference in the gloss from either side, and that was actually confirmed by the guys at Garage Therapy, that the one that was clearer did seem to record a slightly higher level of gloss than the milkier one. When that was very interesting, because at least I could trust my eyes that I could see a difference in the gloss. And I did find that the clearer one was slightly easier to apply, not by much. There was just a very, very small amount in it. But they were decent, easy to use products. And it'll be very interesting to see what the end product is like when it comes out. Like I say, I know they have changed the formulation already, but being able to feedback the experiences I've had has helped them to either confirm some information that they might have had any ideas about, or to dispel any concerns they may have had with things. So I'm really pleased to be helping them and to be part of this development situation here, at least just as far as testing them is concerned. I'm chuffed to bits. It's been interesting to see how Martin over at the Obsessive Car Detailer channel has been getting on with his. He's been posting quite a few updates, so if you haven't seen those, go and check them out. Also Paul Dolden, he's been sent some to try, and I do believe he's filming some fairly soon, so make sure you check out his channel too and follow up what he has to think about his version as well. But yeah, that's about it. I'm looking forward to seeing the final product when it comes out and see how it behaves, and I'm looking forward to nicer weather when hopefully the warmer weather will be more conducive to applying a longer term protection product. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button. Also, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you ring the notification bell so you don't miss my next video uploads. In the meantime, I've been Specky, and I will see you in the next video.